So this is conference number 23, as I was explaining. Fanaticism and mythomania are two psychological defects we have in our inner world, and it's urgent to eliminate them in order to move forward and advance in our spiritual advance. So this is a cartoon that parodies and shows how we become like psychologically uh, develop a fixation towards what we believe, and we face other people, we confront them, and we criticize them because they don't believe the same as us. So there will be no peace until these infidels renounce their rabbit god and accept our duck god. So this shows that when we are totally convinced that we are the owners of the truth, we cannot see beyond our own deceptions, and we cannot live in peace and accept others as they are, that are other people are part of mankind. So fanaticism, let's explain this defect. It's when we have too much zeal for a belief, when we become totally dependent, totally attracted and fascinated by these subjects. We can be fanatics of the personalities and famous people we see in the sports, politics, religion, and artists, and we become followers of those people that appear there. So fanaticism is a disease of the mind. We think that being believer of something, we are safe, and also we become followers of others. We are not independent. We are always addicted, or totally mind fixation that doesn't allow us to see beyond those things. We are totally fascinated, hypnotized by those subjects that we become fanatic of. If we are fanatic of politics, our famous personalities are our gods, and we adore them. We become, totally dependent on what they do. We start being totally captivated and attracted by their ideas, and when we don't have an independence psychologically from those personalities. So it's fundamental that we have an individuality, an ability to question and eliminate all the defects that make us have a psychological fixation towards something, because we cannot see the transcendental and fundamental things that are in our existence, that is liberating ourselves from our ego, and that all those subjects that are related to our personality, artists, religion, politics, those aspects of life are part of the personality, something superficial, something that is going to pass away with time, and that sooner or later will be forgotten. So when knowledge is received and it's known what is it has to be done, we know that two paths are open: the path of the believer and the path of the practical. So it's up to us to decide what path are we gonna follow. If we believe in this knowledge and we accept it, we think, that's okay, that sounds fine. The creation of the superior existential bodies, it's something that's possible. Suprasex, sexual transmutation sounds good. Astral projection sounds good. That the dissolution and the elimination of our ego sounds really nice, but we don't practice it. it just remain like a belief, like a concept, like a theory, and we are not practicing what we have learned. So the idea is to take the path of the practical, not just be a believer of what we say here in the conferences. So if we confirm and we verify everything that we are learning here in these lectures, we are going to have the wisdom of our being. That is something that we are confirming, that we are verifying, that we are experiencing directly, not because the person from the conference told so, but because it's a knowledge that we are discovering within ourselves. Practicing meditation, we eliminate anger, we eliminate hate, we eliminate rancor, violence, and when we do the astral projection, we see the liberation of the essence. We see the defect losing different parts. We are verifying the elimination of that psychological defect. It's something that we are experiencing directly, and we are having the result. So it's really different from believing. So the believer thinks that knowledge is enough, that receiving this transcendental knowledge it's enough for being safe, that he is already advancing in the spiritual work, just hearing the conferences, receiving the information in a passive way, really intellectual about knowing the different terms, the theories, the ideas, the concept, the words, the fancy words that we hear about esotericism. But if the words don't become something that is verifiable in actions, in results from our practices, they are just letter, and we are going to have to extract the wisdom from evil. That is the work that needs to be done. So being believer of this knowledge, it's not going to get us to advance. It's not going to get us to face and disintegrate our heavy ego. So the path we need to follow is the path of the practical in order to stop our egos of fanaticism for growing. So we have something that won't allow us to advance, that is the false sense of the self. When we think that we are perfect, that we are saints, that there's nothing wrong in us, there is no inner darkness, and we think that we are purely light, that we are illuminated and transcended just by hearing these lectures, and we won't have any progress if we get self-deceived by this false sense of the self. Because the self-importance that we have make us disguise ourselves with our personality of being totally perfect, totally without flaws, and we need to see in action our psychological defects, this inner darkness that we have, our hate, our envy, our jealousy, our greed. These are the defects that we need to make evident. It's not enough by just accepting that we have them, but we need to self-observe what's happening inside of us in any situation of our practical life. If we are walking down the street and we feel something in our sexual center, we are feeling attraction, we are feeling lust by someone we see in walking down the street, the first of all that we need to do is self-observe what's happening in our inner world. If we are feeling attraction, if we are feeling that our sexual creative energy starts to be activated by the defect of lust, if we feel the defect of lasciviousness, just something that is a sexual tension repressed. If we feel fascination for the prototype of beauty, well, we see the defect in action, and is the perfect moment to beg our Divine Mother Kundalini to eliminate us this defect of lust, of fascination and attraction by the prototype of beauty. So eliminate me this ego of lasciviousness, of attraction, of wanting to flirt, of wanting to approach to this person that is not my couple. And in this moment that we self-observe our inner darkness, we are practicing the psychological death. We are facing our ego. We are not disguising the defect, well, thinking that we are perfect, that we are not adulterous, that we are not lustful, but we are facing the defect and we are recognizing it and accepting that we have it. So the importance is this, that the work is to be done, and the mistake is believing and feeling like a good person, because this won't allow us to put into practice the self-observation and the psychological death, the elimination of all the defects that we see in the instant, in order to be willing to live the instant in state of inner silence, in a state of connection with our being, of intuition, of just extracting wisdom from evil, moment by moment, the ongoing death, eliminating in every instant the manifestations of ego in the emotional center, in the instinctive center, in the sexual center, the mental center, and the motor center. So that's the important. So if there is no psychological death, there won't be liberation of our conscience. If we don't eliminate those defects that we are feeding from our energy of the 7 centers of the human machine, we won't be able to liberate that essence that is bottled up in anger, in lust, in vanity, in greed. So we need to be the owners of the fire that is trapped and bottled up in the desire, in the instinct that make us give the energy to the psychological defect. So if we have, for instance, a problem with a partner, a problem with a colleague, a problem with our husband, or in our family, and we detect that we are feeling angry towards that person, that we want to take revenge, we eliminate this ego of insulting, of blaming, of hating, of wanting revenge, and immediately the essence, the energy is going to be ready, is going to be purified, and we won't be feeding the psychological defect again, because we are going to be begging to our Divine Mother to eliminate us all the manifestations of the defect in the instant. So it's necessary to practice it, to live it, and to just experience it instant by instant, the psychological death, to liberate ourselves from ego. And also the second factor, the sexual birth, is really indispensable, because we are purifying the energy, we are becoming the masters of our fire, we are liberating this essence that is trapped in our psychological defects. But when this essence is free, what are we gonna do with it? We need to ascend that fire through the spinal cord in the practice of sexuality, in order to create love, to create the superior existential bodies of our being. If there is no spiritual birth, there are no existential bodies. We need to regenerate the physical body, regenerate the vital body, create the astral body, mental body, the causal body, and unite with the Buddhic and Atmic body. So we have those superior existential bodies in order to discover the different superior dimensions of nature. It's indispensable in a sexual practice of uh, suprasex with our stable couple of the opposite sex. We are going to do a procedure of inhalation, retention, and exhalation of the air, and imagining we are ascending this sexual creative energy through the spinal cord. It's a practice where there's not going to be fornication, there is not going to be ejaculation or orgasm, because we are going to ascend the sexual creative energy like the serpent of fire of the Kundalini through our spinal cord. And that is going to make us create these existential bodies for our being. And sacrifice for mankind is indispensable to practice it, because if we don't help people in order to know the objective in life, the objective of our existence, that is to transcend, to eliminate our ego, to know the superior dimensions of nature, and achieve the 100% of awakened conscience, the self-realization of our being, well, people are going to be unaware of the objective of life, and they're going to think that we came to this existence just to accumulate objects, to have pleasure, to have comfort, to have wealth, and waste our existence in things that are not transcendental, that are really subjective, really ephemeral, and that are going to vanish away with time. We are always going to be ignorant and suffering from pleasure to pain without knowing the real purpose of our existence. So this is really important to uninterestedly share this knowledge and give the mankind, humanity, the tools in order to liberate themselves from ego. So the practical understands this work and begins to show his work. This upsets the fanatics that are moved by the defects of sloth and envy. They want to self-fulfill without work. So, for instance, if you haven't verified the astral projection, and someone that is receiving this lecture talks about achieving an effective result in the astral projection, maybe if you haven't verified that practice, you are going to feel a little bit of envy. Oh, okay, that is good. This person verified astral projection, but I haven't done that. I haven't experienced what is the astral projection. And this person just is listening to the lectures and he says he has done it. So this is our psychological defect of envy. We are going to feel a little bit of jealousy of people that are making spiritual advances, but because of the defect of sloth, because if we don't work, if we don't make a practice of meditation, stop losing our time in social networks, watching TV, going to parties or something that is not useful for anything, we are not going to have the discipline, the time, and the will, the conscious will, in order to try to give the time, even to try the practice, to do the steps of the astral projection, to do the steps of a practice of meditation. And it's really, really important that we are not lazy, that we fight this defect and dissolve the ego of sloth, not being, saying, oh, okay, I'm going to do this practice of meditation, but later, because I'm really tired from work, I'm really exhausted, so I am going to fall asleep. So that is a psychological defect of postponing everything, and we need to stop feeding that. We need to give the time to every practice that we learn. If we learn the practice of meditation, if we learn the practice of astral projection, of transfer of funds, the negotiation of karma, negotiation with the divine law. Every practice that we learn, we should give it the time even to do the practice, to have the space of practicing concentration, mantralization, that is the power to develop the faculty of our intuition. All the practices have incredible results, but if we cultivate this defect, give our energy to the defect of slot, we are not going to get to start our spiritual work, our practices, and if we don't start to do them, we are not going to even have the possibility to verify them. First of all, we need to establish the discipline of doing the practices, and then we are going to have the power of the concentration to do them fully with the conscience centered in the action that we are performing, in order for the practices to have the results we expect. So our egos of fanaticism, we need to dissolve them. We need to beg to our divine mother to eliminate this envy that feels a little bit jealous because our partners are verifying the astral projection, are watching their psychological defects die in the astral world because of them having to fabricate the existential bodies in the practice of suprasex, and we don't even have a spiritual partner. We mustn't feel envy because of that. We must work hard to achieve the results we want. But if we keep being lazy, postponing the practices, postponing the discipline, the time that we must give to every practice, it's not going to become a reality. It's only going to remain as a theory, as an idea, as a concept. So fanatics place themselves as instructors and managers within groups. They trap people who search for the liberation and put them on the path of the fanatic. That happens when we have our egos of fanaticism totally fed up, and we believe our own lies, and we just follow what another people does, another person says, because if we don't do the practice of our own meditation, well, we are not going to have our own wisdom. And if we don't have our wisdom of our being, well, it's really comfortable to believe on what others say. And if our partner says, I have verified the 108 existences, I have experienced a past life, we just believe and we think that's real. But we have to eliminate those egos of fanaticism. We must not buy everything that everyone says, but verify, search for our own wisdom, the wisdom of our being, that it's something that we are going to experience directly in the astral world, not because someone told us, the conferencist, or the guy that is writing a book about esotericism. No, we must only believe the direct experiences that we are shown in the astral world, the experiences of the practices of meditation, of concentration. Those are the paths to acquire a real wisdom from our being. That is not something that we imitate, that we believe, that we borrow as if it was something that it's our own. So they seek ways to remove people from the groups. That is when an organization has become totally trapped by the egos of fanaticism. But if we don't want to be part of an organization that it's full of fanaticism, we must eliminate first of all from ourselves the ego of being fanatic, of following, of imitating, of believing what others say because it's comfortable, but searching for our own wisdom, even if it costs discipline, hard work, because that is the way to acquire our own wisdom, with discipline, with hard work, with dedicating the time to practice and well, achieving our own results. So let's reflect a little bit of the details of fanatics. They don't eliminate their ego because they don't do practices of meditation. They don't dedicate the time to ongoing debt, to begging the Divine Mother to eliminate all the defects. So they got really comfortable feeling that they are safe and they are perfect, and they don't practice the self-observation power and beg the Divine Mother to eliminate anger, to eliminate rancor, to eliminate hate, everything that is moving in the different centers of the human machine, all the egos that want to feed from our energy. So if we are fanatic, we are not working in that, but we are feeling totally comfortable, pretending that we are fine and that we have already dissolved our ego. They think that esotericism is really easy. Blowing and making bottles, it's really something easy, that they have already passed the different tests of the psychological defects, that they have already understood anger, hate, lust, greed, without even getting to self-observe themselves. They follow people, they want to have a t-shirt, they want to be dependent on the instructor or in the partner or the person who wrote a book or the person that says he's a master. They don't follow themselves, they don't follow the wisdom of their being, but they want someone that they can look up to, that they can imitate, and they think they are following people that have already achieved something, the creation of their existential bodies, or they believe in someone that is more advanced than them. They live with the experiences of others, so they believe. If someone says, oh, I had an astral projection in which I saw the end of the world and a lot of catastrophes, well, if you believe in that, you are living with the experiences of others, and it's not the path. The path is having your own astral experiences and not believing what other people tell you. If they tell if they talk about their astral experiences, so they confirm things that they don't know about and that others told them. It's all gossip, all rumors about what people say about their astral experiences, and this is not that doesn't work for anything, because what you need is to have your own astral experiences, your own astral travel, astral projection, in which you accomplish an objective. My objective is achieving the husband or the wife, the partner that is going to work with me in suprasex. So if I want to achieve this objective, I need to have this wisdom and that connection with my being. So I cannot rely on what another person tells me, because he doesn't know what the truthful couple of my being is, who he is or who she is. Only our being knows it. So we need to confirm that in the astral projection. They talk about the experiences of the others. They don't like people who works. They appear criticizing their peers, originating entropy in the groups. They look to higher positions in which they seem they work. Is all the force of personality appearing to work, appearing to do something in the spiritual work. Well, the spiritual path is an individual path, and we have not gotten, we don't have the necessity to pretend or to follow appearances or to being liked, or to for people to think that you're working, because this is a path that is individual. The importance is that you're really working and really getting to connect with your being. So what people do, what people gossip, what people think is something that is from personality and doesn't matter for anything. So being able to sacrifice for humanity more, they settle for the the uh, uh, the minimum effort. They don't want to do well, a mission to help someone internationally, or something that takes an effort, requires an effort, but they settle just thinking that we talking to our neighbor about, well, this knowledge is enough. And they have a lot of people in humanity. We have a lot of people to help, really. So if we want to fight against the force of ego, we need to lose that in the well, totally attached to our egoism, just well, being focused in ourselves. We need to think about the whole humanity that is ignorant about this knowledge, and do our best effort to just help all mankind without distinction. So they think they are doing well, they think that they are doing better than anyone else. They follow books, they read a lot, they are really intellectual, they are tyrant because they have a really structured and mechanical behavior. They think people that are spiritual should well, act this way, follow these behaviors according to personality, and that those are stereotypes that well, are totally an invention from our mind. We should only follow the path and the decisions that our being tell us to do. We should obey our being and no one else. So they consider themselves the most knowledgeable because they have so many years in the knowledge, to have received the knowledge. So these are things from personality. These are external things, and the truthful wisdom of our being is in the inner world, is a result from our practices. So mythomania. And let's talk about mythomania now. What is it? Are delusions of greatness. Someone that is totally self-deceived by thinking that he has worked a lot, he has meditated a lot, he has had a lot of astral experiences, and thinks that he has become a master, he has become a kind of Jesus, or a kind of Buddha, or a kind of Krishna, and he's a transcendent master, and he already believed that he has advanced in the spiritual work. Well, when he hasn't gotten to eliminate the egos of self-importance, the egos of pride, the egos of believing his own lies, and ego is still alive, and he hasn't gotten to work with, even with the sacred fire of the Kundalini. He hasn't even gotten to eliminate these 7 causal egos in the details of daily life through the power of the self-observation. So he thinks he is the return of a famous people, a famous character from the past. For instance, I am the resurrection or the reincarnation. Well, for instance, the return of a famous character of Alexander the Great, or mm, Mary, the mother of Jesus, or someone that is famous in the history, and he believes that lie. He has delusions. He is totally well convinced of that lie, and get people to be fanatic of what he says. So mythomaniac shines like fatuous light, and eventually they shut down because they have all their ego still alive, leaving their followers confused, disoriented, establishing the ego of pseudo-occultism because they form groups of pseudo-occultism. Pseudo-occultism is false knowledge of oneself. A false spiritual path is a lie that people get to preach to others, and people become fanatic of this figure that is full of self-importance and full of pride, and has become a figure for them. They want to imitate them, they want to follow that person, believe in what this person does, and they are totally fascinated and hypnotized with this person. So in order to advance in our spiritual work and not self-deceive ourselves with these characters that are the mythomaniacs, don't become a fanatic of a person that is in this state of delusion, and don't become a mythomaniac ourselves, even because if we don't eliminate this self-importance, this pride, this thinking that we are perfect, well, we can fall for this defect of mythomaniac, and we can get into this delusion, this mental condition of thinking that we are someone that is really famous and that people should adore us. So we should eliminate these two defects in order to walk straight to the path of self-knowledge, of inner discovering, and eliminate our ego. These forces of ego won't allow us to achieve our sacred individuality, our psychological independence, that is something that is indispensable for us to liberate ourselves for good from ego, from our 7 causal defects that tie us to the infradimensions of this planet. So this conference invites us to meditate the different defects and the different aspects that we see in the egos of fanaticism and mythomania, that we shouldn't think that we are perfect and that we are not fanatic at all, that we don't have this fanaticism, that we don't have these delusions of self-importance that is the mythomania. We have these egos still alive, and the work is to meditate on them, to do our own practice of meditation of our own egos of fanaticism, our own mythomaniac defects, and get to eliminate them urgently in order to advance in our spiritual path and connect with the 3% of our conscience, that is justice, wisdom, and love, liberating our essences that are trapped in those defects is fundamental in order to have our own results, and having a truthful wisdom of our being. Stop self-deceiving ourselves, thinking that we have already achieved the truthful knowledge when we haven't even gotten to do the practices of awakening our conscience. So this is the conference from today. Thank you for watching. We will be transmitting all Sundays at the same hour. And thank you for your time and your participation in this lecture. Have a good afternoon. Bye.